It is important to know your rights. This is Bright Mark's Truth YouTube channel about LaPorte PD, Friendswood, and Seabrook in Harris County, Texas. Seabrook Police has passed allegations of misconduct involving Chief Sean Wright in 2023. He assaulted a young man outside a gym because he thought the boy took his gym bag, but the gym bag was actually inside the gym. A criminal citation was issued to Chief Wright for assault, and there were investigations, and he ultimately resigned. Graham versus Connor in 1989 established the objective reasonableness standard under the Fourth Amendment for police use of force during seizures and stops. Seabrook officer slammed a man on the ground at a closed apartment complex pool in 2018. And the victim said the officer was in plain clothes and did not identify himself as an officer. And you need to understand, the police act like a misdemeanor is not a big deal, but it is when your background is run. And you have no recourse when an officer wants to find a reason to arrest you. They will try to find a reason. They always try to say they smell alcohol and it's public intoxication. They can say you're resisting arrest, you're not showing your ID. Anything that they can come up with is going to be used. This is a case where a man had a traffic stop and police misconduct with Seabrook Police. It's on YouTube. This is another case where Seabrook Police Department violated civil rights in 2020. Another case with Seabrook Police where they cuffed and tortured, and Sergeant Smith was involved in 2021. On June 8th, 2025, there were two sisters at Barge 295 and a fight broke out that only involved one sister. A teenager restrained the other sister who was not doing anything, and natural instinct when someone grabs you is to bite them, but she was charged with assault. Having not ever been in jail or been arrested and never broken the law, she was angry and yelling at the officers, and they were taunting her and antagonizing her, and she said, "I'm going to get the cartel to kill you." Well, she doesn't know anyone in the cartel, and she was angry, and she has a First Amendment right to say whatever she wants. It's not a real threat, it's a hyperbole or an exaggeration. Yet she was charged with retaliation because the officer retaliated against her, and she spent days in county jail, which is disgusting. And in Harris County Jail, you actually have to sit in a chair until you go into housing, which can take several days. It's freezing, they don't give you a blanket, and you have to sleep on a concrete floor. There was absolutely no reason for that person to be arrested. And the officer was Officer F. Gutierrez with the Seabrook Police Department. For accountability, if a police department falsely charges you with retaliation, especially to punish you for exercising your rights, you may be able to sue under federal civil rights law or state law. Now, you have to know when you sue an organization, there's a tort law, and you have to file notice of claim within 6 months in order to sue a police department. But accountability can be done under the federal civil rights lawsuit 42 U.S.C. 1983 for false arrest, malicious prosecution under the Fourth Amendment, retaliation for free speech, the First Amendment, and internal affairs reports to the chief of police, so no real investigation is done. And most attorneys will not take your civil rights case unless you suffered significant harm, more than a concussion and a broken bone. It has to be that you were shot or something really serious happened. You can sue under 42-1983 for constitutional violations like false arrest and excessive force. The civil rights violations by LaPorte police involved Tammy Cooper versus the city of LaPorte, and officers responded to a report of a small child riding scooters unsupervised, and Officer Davidson engaged Cooper, investigated her vehicle, and the encounter ended without arrest. Cooper sued under 42 U.S.C. 1983 for Fourth Amendment violations. The Fifth Circuit found no constitutional breach and affirmed summary judgment in favor of the city. Then there was another case with John Grote versus City of LaPorte. In June 2022, Grote alleges police falsely arrested him and maliciously prosecuted him after he criticized officers during a traffic encounter. There's also another case in LaPorte, you can look it up on YouTube, where some people were walking down the street and the officer told them they were walking down the wrong side of the street and arrested them. So he filed a federal lawsuit seeking damages, but the city has not yet responded. According to policescorecard.org, LaPorte PD uses force more frequently than most. They have a higher than average rate of deadly force incidents. There was also a case a couple of years ago where someone confronted a mistress and was arrested for public intoxication, and the officers were whispering on body camera trying to come up with a way to arrest the person. So no civil rights violation was found under federal court review for the Cooper case, but the Grote lawsuit is ongoing and alleges false arrest and malicious prosecution. But you can see a systemic pattern of higher force and lower accountability metrics suggests broader issues. Also with LaPorte, internal affairs reports to the chief of police, so no real investigation is done. But you can consider suing under 42 U.S.C. 1983 for constitutional violations. Miranda versus Arizona is a precedent in 1966 that requires that individuals be informed of their rights, their right to remain silent and have counsel. However, the police will not read Miranda rights during detainment and arrest because they taunt you to converse and use that information against you. But it isn't a formal interrogation, therefore you have no rights. Further, in addition to that, they don't have to give you a phone call and they don't have to let you talk to a lawyer. That is all made for TV. So regarding a phone call after arrest, your right to a phone call is not explicitly stated in the Constitution, but it is protected under the 6th and 14th Amendments, and it's the right to legal counsel and due process. And the two sisters who were arrested in Seabrook are on body camera saying that the officers are violating their 4th and 14th Amendment right. We did say that there was a right to legal counsel as well, but we didn't know that it was the 6th Amendment, and the officer made fun of us for not knowing that. Usually within a reasonable time after arrest, often immediately after booking or within 1 to 3 hours, you should get a phone call. But I will tell you, LaPorte PD, Seabrook PD, and sometimes Friendswood do not allow phone calls until you have court and are processed out. And for misdemeanors, you do not get a public defender. But even if you hire an attorney, they really don't care about defending you. they will make an agreement. They'll collect your money, like $1,000 for public intoxication, meet with the DA and say, well, the officer said they could smell alcohol, so you get deferred adjudication. I did my job, but you can actually get deferred adjudication without hiring an attorney, so don't waste your money. I have even seen $100,000 lawyers not be able to help someone fight a violation of protection order, and a friend was able to get rid of their probation and prison time. So if you go pro se and you learn the laws and you know what to do, you can get a lot further than you can with a lazy attorney. So you cannot be denied a call to an attorney once you request one under the Sixth Amendment, but they do, specifically LaPorte, Friendswood, and Seabrook. Now, I'm only speaking about police departments that I know about. I know there are more out there, but these are the ones that I actually know that they do not allow phone calls. Bogus charges: when an officer wants to arrest you, they'll get you for resisting arrest, failure to show your ID, public intoxication, and disorderly conduct. What most people don't know is a bar is considered public, and if you had one drink, you're intoxicated, and they can say they smell alcohol on your breath even if you took one sip, and you must be a harm to yourself or others, and they're able to arrest you. Disorderly conduct, they can find a reason to arrest you. In Texas, you may need to file a notice of claim within 6 months under the Texas Tort Claims Act before suing a city or department. Malicious prosecution, abuse of process, defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligence or gross negligence in how the case was investigated or charged. For example, arresting 2 people who were assaulted and not arresting the people who did the assault. In Radar versus Friendswood Police Department, the plaintiff had multiple officers in the department in the lawsuit, and they said it was a violation of civil rights under 28 U.S.C. 1331. It was filed August 15th, 2024, and a pretrial is underway, and the service of summons was completed. Also, what you need to know about subpoenas: if you do not pay a psychologist or pay someone as an expert witness, or if a police officer does not show up when they have been subpoenaed, nobody does anything. If someone like an animal control officer or police officer commits perjury, nobody cares. All of that is BS. You really have no recourse in the court of law or with police. So what happens is, basically, especially in Texas, whomever calls the police or is able to speak to the police first normally gets things in their favor. Whomever files divorce gets things in their favor. Whomever hires an ad litem gets things in their favor. Whomever spends more money gets things in their favor. Family court, criminal court, CPS, the police, nobody's fair, and nobody cares when your rights are violated. So the alleged violation of civil rights haven't been publicly posted, but the case is active as of 2024. So they pulled over a man for a short stop. Oh, this was another case. In 2024, Friendswood pulled over a man for a short stop at a red light, asked to search the car, was told they could use dogs, and the person was arrested and released hours later, and no drugs were ever found. So in 2020, Radar and his wife were arrested during a restaurant inspection tied to DWI checks, and It was recorded by local news. The owners claimed harassment, and they brought federal civil rights and related claims in 2022. As of November 2024, discovery motions are ongoing, and that's getting all the information to all of the parties so they can see the evidence. Officer Sarah Carter, her credibility was under review. She was found by a judge to be an unreliable and not credible witness, and there was a dismissal of 30 plus DWI cases tied to her testimony, internal and external reviews across 235 cases. If an officer routinely provides untruthful testimony, it raises systemic Fourth Amendment concerns. What this all means. So Radar's lawsuits reflect current challenges involving arrests and possible rights violations during policing actions. Officer credibility issues like Sarah Carter's can undermine the integrity of many past arrests, raising potential innocence claims or grounds for further suits. These cases suggest potential patterns of misuse of authority or procedural problems with the Friendswood Police Department. A violation of the Fourth Amendment in 2024, they pulled over a man for a short stop at the right on red light, asked to search the car, was told they could use dogs. They arrested and released hours later, and there was no warrant, no probable cause, no consent, search beyond scope, and pretext stops. So if you're not aware, on Bay Area and 528, if you turn onto 528 toward Bay Area and you cut across all the lanes to turn right on Bay Area, you will be pulled over and get a public intoxication or DWI. Also, they have cameras and they search for people. They look up to see if you don't have insurance or you don't have your registration, and they will put you in jail for that. Your options if you believe rights were violated: collect evidence, body cam footage, police incident reports, witness details, consult a civil rights attorney, look locally, file an internal complaint with the department's civilian complaint protocol, pursue legal claims under 42 USC 1983 and related state level tort claims. Regarding the nystagmus sobriety test, the horizontal gaze nystagmus test is often used by police during roadside sobriety checks, and it is scientifically supported. However, most district attorneys and officers do not know, or even lawyers, do not know that there are many fallacies and flaws that can lead to false positives or legal challenges. For example, the officers will assume that you're drunk. Even EMS will examine you after a head injury and say you have a slight nystagmus and laugh like you're drunk. But in reality, you can have inner ear issues, fatigue, seizure medications can cause nystagmus, eye strain and vision problems, head trauma. There are many things that can cause nystagmus, but they use that as evidence against you. And I don't know why attorneys don't have enough sense to defend you with the fallacies. It's important during the arrest to stay calm and don't resist. Even if it's unfair, you can get additional charges like resisting, assaulting, and retaliation. Clearly state, I do not consent and I want a lawyer. Say, I do not consent to this arrest. I want to remain silent. I want a lawyer. This preserves your rights under the 5th and 6th Amendments, even though they're not going to let you make a phone call and they're not going to let you talk to a lawyer. And if you don't answer the questions, they're going to taunt you and antagonize you. But they try to do it informally so they don't have to give you Miranda rights. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Don't try to prove your innocence. Ask for the reason for arrest. You have a right to know what you're being charged with, even though they're not going to tell you. Make sure you memorize their badge numbers, their names, any witnesses that were around, and try to remember details later. After your release, contact a civil rights or criminal defense attorney ASAP. And a lot of attorneys advertise that they handle certain cases, but they don't really handle those cases, or they want big money cases like where someone was shot. So don't give up, keep calling, and be very concise with your case and what you want the outcome to be, money, that you want the officer to be reprimanded. Be very clear about what rights were being violated, because a lot of attorneys, if they don't believe you when they're talking to you, even though you're innocent, they will not take your case. So the civil rights attorney can help challenge the charges, file motions to dismiss, and prepare a civil lawsuit. But I will tell you, it's very complicated because, for example, some civil rights attorneys will not defend you criminally. Some criminal lawyers will not defend you civilly. So and they'll give you a 1-800 number to get lawyers to see if they want to do your case, but it really is a pain. So request the body cam or dash cam footage. You can do a record request at the police station, but they will not give you any camera footage. Like, for example, if I needed camera footage of my sister, they would not give me camera footage of that, but they would give any camera footage of me. Your lawyer can subpoena police video and radio logs. Document everything. Write down what happened immediately while the details are fresh. Include witnesses, exact words said, and how you were treated. File a complaint with Internal Affairs or a civilian review board, especially if there's excessive force or misconduct. Consider filing a lawsuit under USC 42 USC 1983 for false arrest, malicious prosecution, excessive force, and violation of due process. In many occurrences, the police could have you just leave, but they want to be assholes, and they don't even ask your side of the story, and they think they're human lie detectors, and they believe someone else over you because they know the law, or they're an ex-police officer, or for some reason the officer thinks they have more credibility. Even though they're drunk, they might have more credibility. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I also advise you to watch a YouTube channel at the Civil Rights Lawyer. He's awesome. He shows police misconduct all over America, and he says our rights don't end where fear begins. And his name is John H. Bryan. He's amazing to watch. You need to be informed and protect yourself.